Hey church, as we begin 2021, I want to give you an update on the Make Us One series we began in the summer of 2020. You may recall, last summer we looked at the reality of systemic injustice, racism, and the gospel through our Make Us One series. We were reminded that Christ prays for unity within the body, but that it's a process of learning what that means for every generation of believer. We remain committed to this aspect of community life, and after our summer series and prayer gatherings, the panel that spoke to us as a congregation during the Make Us One series was asked to continue to lead us forward as an advisory in the longer-term work necessary to ensure that we as a church community address areas that need to be realigned and to sincerely embrace the diversity that is the People's Church. We've been meeting to pray and listen to what the Spirit is saying to our church, to learn and discuss the path ahead, and to surround ourselves with wise counsel and earnest prayer as we seek out meaningful change. We recognize that throughout the world, there are many forms of racism and systems of injustice that oppress people. And as a church, we lament all forms of racism. But our present focus in addressing racism and oppression has been to understand anti-Black racism in its various forms and expressions and the numerous ways that it hides itself within the world and within the church. We believe that our learning together in this particular area of racism will positively impact every area of our life at the People's Church and as a community of diversity. A necessary part of this learning is to painfully acknowledge the existence of systemic racism and its impact on Black people in particular, as well as Indigenous peoples and people of color within our own church community. As I've met with and listened to the voices of our church members, friends, and colleagues who are pastors and leaders of color within the church, I've heard repeated stories of bias, racism, and the pain it creates. Now, as Christians, we would all agree that this is not the way of Jesus, and that within the gospel itself, he calls us to a unity that is meant to be a prophetic witness to the world around it. As a church, we are committed to creating an inclusive and healthy church family that reflects the very diversity that is People's. In the coming months, we'll be giving ourselves to three things. First, the Make Us One advisory will continue to meet for prayer with our prayer supporters and actively engage with wise counsel who will be moving us forward in this important journey. Secondly, we'll be conducting another Make Us One teaching series that continues our journey learning about racism, the gospel, and reconciliation. And lastly, we'll have additional touch points with the congregation in various forms like surveys, listening circles, in order to learn and understand where we are today and where we need to remove barriers. We look forward to what God is doing and are trusting that He will lead us into a deeper understanding of what He wants to do in us. Your prayers for leadership would be greatly appreciated as we continue to live into the prayer of Jesus, where He states in John 17, "I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me, and I am in you." God bless you, church.